Who is your MVP right now through 11 weeks? Who's the best player you've seen play?
Um,
It could be anybody. Who would you give your MVP award to? There's no wrong answers here.
Josh Downs.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Read Option presented by Good Time Media. I'm Wyatt. That's Jenna. Today, we're covering more and more of Shoe Dog. We are working our way through this thing, about halfway through, and we're going to cover NFL, but I do want to do a little bit of college football today as well. So I feel like we need to
I don't remember signing up for that.
we're gonna dabble in it. We're gonna dip our toes in the college football water, and then we can get right back out. We can stick to
Okay.
what we're comfortable with. But that I do want to talk a little bit because Indiana, where we're at, is kind of the heart of college football on Saturday for two reasons. But we'll get to that. Anyways, Jenna, you have a top five. I do not this week, and I apologize. But let's hear what you got.
Okay, mine isn't necessarily a top 5. It's just
Uh,
5 things that frustrate me slash I do not understand about football.
ooh, okay, this could be fun.
And this is I didn't Google anything. This is all like off the top of my head thoughts.
Okay, and these are things. Are they more confusing things or just why like you just hate this? You feel a certain way towards the way things are done.
Both.
Okay. All right.
I think they're confusing and that's why I don't like the way they're done
Okay. All
for
right.
for some of them.
All right. Let's see how defensive I get here.
Okay. No, I don't think it'll be like that.
Okay.
Okay, to start off, just like a little thing. It really confuses me how if a player is successful in college, that doesn't mean they're gonna be successful in the NFL. Because realistically, I get that some players have played a longer time in the NFL, but they're all coming from the
Mhm.
same pool.
It's a good point. Very good point. And are you thinking specific are you taking the league as a whole or quarterbacks or
The league as a whole, like, we've just
okay.
discussed several times how, like, top picks from the last draft aren't doing well.
Mhm.
And it just really confuses me because I feel
Yeah.
like they should at least be playing average,
And I wonder if that's
especially
more of
because 'cause they're, like,
a
a young player. I don't know.
yeah, I think and that's a I think an argument around the league is why there's so many misses on especially quarterbacks. That's the easiest thing to focus on.
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, it's more of a scouting problem and a coaching problem. So when it comes to the scouts, you're missing something, obviously, but mostly it's probably a coaching problem where you get these young draft picks, they get drafted high, which means they're getting drafted to a bad team. And that's the issue. They go into a bad organization, they don't have time to develop. And like these quarterbacks that we know as being the greats, Manning, Brady, all those guys, they had time to get to where they are. They didn't year one. Like Manning still holds the record for most interceptions as a rookie. Like he threw the ball to the other team more than he threw to his own team at that point. So I think a lot of it's just the way our league works, where it's let's just try to see if they're good after game three. If they're not, move on. So that's a good point. It's valid.
Okay, another one that I kind of already know the answer to, but it's still like, ugh.
Hmm.
Couldn't we have come up with a different name other than football? There's already a football.
Soccer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like,
What would
just
you
I'd catch ball,
catch ball? I'm in for catch ball. Yeah, I don't
run
know.
ball, run
I,
slash catch ball. I don't know.
at this point,
I
I
feel like it's very uncreative.
yeah. I wonder what's the last sport to be created? Are we gonna make more sports? Are we done? Have we reached the peak? Pickleball's trying to break through,
I'm sure it will.
but I mean,
I
I don't
think
think
it
we're
will
ever gonna
get close.
sell out stadiums of pickleball. Are we ever
I'm
gonna
sure
make a
they
new
thought that about,
sport?
like, tennis one, like, before too, though.
Well, I mean,
Or,
tennis has
like,
been around as
they
long
do
as
fricking ping pong and what's it called, in the
the
Olympics. They're
handball.
always adding sports to the Olympics.
But I mean, I think of the big four. We have baseball, hockey, soccer, or sorry, baseball, hockey, basketball, football in America.
That's 5.
That's baseball, hockey, football, basketball.
Soccer?
I, the big four
You
American
think
sports.
hockey is bigger than soccer?
When you think of America and the big four,
I
hockey's
don't
over
think about
soccer.
hockey at all.
Then that's you.
Okay.
And I don't think about hockey either. I don't follow hockey, but
That
North
could also be
America,
because we don't have an NHL team.
correct. The closest one would probably be,
Blackhawks, right?
yeah, or Columbus
Hmm,
or St. Louis, whichever one. But yeah, hockey is North America, hockey is above soccer.
interesting.
Worldwide, obviously soccer, but yeah. All
Okay.
right. That's fair.
Um, moving on. W Why do they stop the game when there's still time left? Can't we just one more play? I don't care if you're not gonna win, just play out the clock like every other sport does.
Wait, hold up. What do you mean?
'Cause, like, sometimes there will be, like, 10 seconds left and they'll just, like, get on a knee and that's the game.
Yeah.
Why?
What do you want
Play
them to
those
do?
play those 10 seconds, let the play end, and then you're
Well,
done.
that's the play. The knee is the play.
Mhm. I don't get it.
That's but then
That's not a play.
if they run an actual play, they risk turning the ball over. So you want to take kneels out of the game.
I don't know, I just feel like there's a better way to do it. Every other sport you play until the clock runs out other than, like,
Well,
baseball.
basketball they dribble the clock out. If there's 20 seconds
Yeah,
left,
so run around with the ball, I don't know.
but,
I feel like
but
there's a different way to do that.
I disagree. You have to at some point concede, "Hey, this game's over." Like,
How can you say that?
well, if you're okay, if you're up
What if
30,
that last play was an interception and then you win the game?
okay, but what if you're up 30? That's like unsportsmanlike to try to just score again with another 5 seconds on the clock. Just take a knee,
That's just
concede. Hey, this
the
game's over.
game.
Okay, all right. No kneels. I didn't expect this one. That
I'm
one.
not saying no kneels, I'm just saying it's confusing to me that that's a thing.
No, you're saying no kneels.
No, I'm not, like, changing the rules, I'm just saying that confuses me. That's it. I'm not saying it needs to be changed, I'm just saying, it confuses me.
Okay, you're anti-kneel, which is that's fine.
I suppose I am.
I think people are going to be on your side there. People want to see more football. That's the least football-like play we get.
It's not that we need to see more football, it's just, like, stop it some other way.
Yeah, it's like just keep playing, play to the end, run through the finish line.
Play till the clock runs out.
All right.
That's it. Okay, these next 2 are kind of my biggest 2
Okay.
that I really feel passionate about. I feel like there are so many rules that don't have clear guidelines. Like, when we were doing that catch versus no catch thing,
Mm-hmm.
like, that's not the only case where there's a lot of rules where there's, like, discrepancies.
Gray area. A lot of gray
Yeah, and
area.
I don't feel like there are a lot of other sports where there's such a huge gray area.
Yeah. I mean, I would argue, and people aren't gonna really people who don't follow tennis won't know. Tennis has a ton of gray area in their rule book because it's one on one and there's a lot of gray area there. Yeah, basketball with the travel, like NBA travel is different than a college travel. It's ref differently. So that could be a little bit of a gray area there. But yeah, I mean, there's with the catch mostly, that's where, and they've tried over and over again to make it very clear what's a catch, what's not a catch. But then something weird happens in a game that contradicts those rules and it causes them to keep changing and updating the rule. So I just think the game they're slowly trying to figure it out, but then each time something weird happens, like all the plays we showed in that clip, that's mostly led to rule changes. Almost all of those plays led to a let's change the definition of a catch because that should count. So they're trying to fix it, but not doing a great job.
Okay.
Alright. No pushback there?
I guess not. I didn't know they were
Alright.
constantly changing it.
Yeah, the rules changed I mean, they changed the kickoff this year.
Okay.
Okay.
Alright.
What's the
I
last one?
I accept that. The last one really throws me for a loop. How come your team isn't playing well, so it's fire the coach, find a new one, fire the coach, and then it's like, it's the middle of the season, don't you think that's, like, sketchy enough? You have no idea how the team's gonna adjust to a new coach, and where are we getting these coaches? Are we just stealing them from other teams? Because then they're left to find a new coach, and that seems like a real issue. That seems like you're leaving another team out to dry
Yeah.
out to dry when, like, uh, obviously they're a good coach, maybe they should be staying there.
So, a lot of the coaches I'll tell you this, a lot of the coaches that are getting these head coaches jobs are coordinators. So, basically every team has their head coach and then an offensive and defensive coordinator.
Mm.
Those offensive coordinators and defensive coordinators are usually the ones who get promoted to head coach and they'll go to a different team to be their head coach. Right now, Vikings fan, Brian Flores, our defensive coordinator, he's probably going to get some head coaching offers this offseason because he's doing such a good job. So that's kind of where they pick from. It's not usually head coach for head coach switch. That doesn't happen. Usually you get fired, you get a job as a coordinator, and then you get hired again as a head coach maybe down the line.
But then
There
they
is
still have to find a new coordinator,
yes, and
and
then
where are they bringing those little suckers from?
they usually have a development system like you'll move up, you'll be like a pass game coordinator, you'll be a defensive line coach to a defensive coordinator. So there's a hierarchy involved. There's like
Why do
14
they need
coaches.
so many coaches? They're making millions of dollars, they should just be playing that well.
You think just one head coach?
I'm not saying one head coach, but, like, keep it to a smaller staff, that seems ridiculous.
There's a head coach for every
All of our
position group.
money is going?
So there's a wide receivers coach, there's a quarterbacks coach, there's
Well,
a
I know
tight
that,
ends
but this
coach.
it seems extensive. You're playing in the NFL, you're making millions and millions of dollars a year.
Yeah,
Should you really need a coach?
they
I don't know.
I guess, yeah, yeah, if you're good, hey, screw the coach, just play ball. You know what you're doing.
Yeah. I'm sorry,
Um,
but does every basketball position have a coach?
no, another good point.
It
Solid
just doesn't make sense.
solid argument. There also is such a small pool of coaches. Like they only really there's like 50 guys that are really head coach candidates, which they could probably do a good job going outside the norm, maybe find a college coach. Very rarely you'll see a college
But then
coach.
that college coach is abandoning their team.
Yeah, college coaches right now are abandoning ship quick too. Like
This is what brought this up for me
what sparked
because
it?
my student resource officer and he went to IU, I went to Purdue, so of
Mhm.
course there's always chatter. This year he's just on his high horse, as he should be,
Mhm.
and he was talking about how IU got a new coach
Mhm.
because they're doing so well. Or
Vice
they
versa. They got a new coach and are now doing well.
oh,
They're doing well because of the new coach.
okay.
Yeah. And so then people are now worried that that coach who just got to IU has only played 10 games there may leave for a bigger job after this year. But that was an issue before this week. He got extended, so now he's going to be there for a little bit longer, but
What do you mean
yeah,
extended?
they extended his contract. So he
For
had like a
how long?
4-year deal. It's now like a 10-year deal, which they can buy out or he can
That's right,
leave.
what if he wants to go to the NFL?
He can still go.
Hmm.
But I think they're just IU is trying to make this offer and say, "Hey, we want you here long term." He's not going to be there for 10 years. I'll tell you right now, but that kind of anything else that confuses you so we can
Well, I
segue
just
into college
mm,
football.
hang on a second.
Okay.
I think my biggest issue with that isn't so much the abandoning teams, which I do still think is strange, but, like, I think they should have to wait until the end of the year to get a new coach.
Okay, but what about
They should have to play out the season.
but what if you're really struggling, the team's lost interest in this coach and they're totally checked out, wouldn't you say, "Hey, why wait 3 months and just deal with like that's kind of a bad mindset. We're like, "Hey,
Let's
things
say
aren't going well. Let's just keep things not going well and then deal with it later. We can't kick it down the road. Let's make a change now, see what
okay,
happens."
okay, let's say all of the kids in my class,
Okay.
let's say they're not doing well,
Yeah.
okay? They're not performing.
Yeah.
Do you think they should just all the kids should decide, "You know what? We don't want her anymore," and they should just get a new teacher?
Yes.
Hmm.
If okay, but it can't just be a 1-year deal. These coaches aren't getting fired after 10 games, right? So, like, you're not gonna get fired by Christmas break because the kids aren't performing well. If you've been struggling for 2 years and then it's Christmas break, all of a sudden, hey, same problems existing. Maybe let's bring in a new teacher come January 1st and see if we can get these kids on the right track. Maybe they just need a change of pace. They need a new voice.
Hmm.
Sometimes I'm coaching, I'm like, "All right, I'm not getting through to this kid. Maybe someone else, maybe another assistant, a voice can get through." Sometimes they need a new voice.
Well, let's just remember that these are not 3rd graders, they're 30-year-old men, and they should suck it up and figure it out. Once
You
again, they're being paid millions and millions of dollars. Do you really care if you're losing a game?
you love that point that they're making a millions
I
and millions of
can't
dollars.
wrap my mind around it.
Yeah.
I don't
It
get
is
it.
it is pretty absurd, but, all right, let's transition into a little bit of college football. So we mentioned it with IU. IU is undefeated this year. They are 10-0. They are looking solid to make the college football playoff because, as you may or may not know, Jenna, they have expanded the college football playoff this year to 12 teams. In the past, it's been 4 teams. So now IU has a chance.
It's 3 times as large?
Yes, it is 12 teams, which is awesome because we're going to get some super fun
Question,
matchups. Yep.
is this different than, like, a bowl game?
So the bowl games, these are bowl games. So the
All of
Peach
them?
Bowl is a quarterfinal game. So like
So
the
now
final 8.
there's going to be, like, 12 bowl games instead of just 4?
No, so there's still more bowl games outside of that. Some of the bowl games are part of the playoff, some are not. So you could have a bad team that has 6 wins, they become bowl eligible. They're not gonna make the playoffs, but they'll still get a bowl game. They'll be in, like, the Cheeto Puff Bowl in the middle of nowhere, the Idaho Potato Bowl, whatever it is, but the main bowl games are gonna be the playoff games. So you have the Peach Bowl, Rose Bowl, Sugar Bowl, all that stuff. So those are still around, but they've kind of lost a little bit of the shine because now this is the
There's so
playoffs.
many other bowls.
Yeah, it just used to be the BCS championship and then all the bowl games. So,
Mm.
um, anyway, so IU is now in a position where they are 10-0 with 2 games left. They play Ohio State, who's the number 2 ranked team in the country, this Saturday. I'm under the impression as long as they don't get blown out by Ohio State, they should make the playoff.
Hmm.
Now, here's the
How
interesting
many
situation.
teams are there?
Total,
Mm.
I in the FBS, I want to say 120 maybe.
Oh, okay.
I could be way off. I genuinely don't know, and I'm not gonna look it up right now. But I mean, like all the big schools, all the big colleges that and then a lot of small
What's
ones.
it called?
FBS,
What does that stand for? Football sport.
foot. That's a great question, actually. FBS.
134 teams in the
I was close.
NCAA Division I Football Bowl subdivision.
Gotcha.
Football Bowl.
So there's also the FCS, which is smaller schools that aren't eligible for like this national championship.
Are they still Division I?
Still Division 1. Yes.
Do they have, like, their own playoff?
Yes, there's FCS championship as well. So,
Okay.
that's where IU is at. That's what you need to watch for this weekend. As long as they can lose this game and still make the playoff because they play Purdue the next week. As long as they don't lose to Purdue and they don't get blown up by Ohio State, they should be okay. All of a sudden, though, they lose by 40 to Ohio State and beat Purdue. It's going to get interesting because then you have to decide. The playoff committee has to decide: do you put a 11-1 Indiana team who lost to Ohio State by 40, or a 10-2 SEC team who might have some better wins? That's when you leave it up to chance. So I think as long as they don't get blown out,
It's just a committee of men that decides this?
yep, bunch of old white dudes get together. They usually do it in Carmel, Indiana, actually, and then
What?
because the NCAA headquarters is here.
Oh.
Fun fact. But that's usually basketball. They'll do their like March Madness selections here. Anyways, that's sidetracked. So
That
yeah,
seems unfair.
what do they do it here?
No, that, like, these white men come together and they're like, "Meh, I think this team's gonna play better." What?
Yeah. Well, listen to this. Last year, Florida State was 12-0,
Mm,
undefeated, did not lose a single game. They got left out of the playoff
yeah, that shouldn't be allowed.
because their quarterback got hurt in the second to last game. So the committee decided this team isn't as good as they were with that quarterback, and they left him out, which is insane. I stand by Florida State should have got in, even though they probably would have gotten killed. They did not lose a single game.
Yeah,
Should
but
have
they
been in.
worked that hard to get there. Like, think about
Yeah.
all of the other players.
Yeah. Yeah. You can't ask a
You're
team
gonna
to
get
do
me
more.
fired up.
You can't ask a team to do more. They're 12-0.
Mhm.
But anyways, so that's a big reason why they expanded the playoff too. So like if that was the case this year, it wouldn't happen. They'd still get in. But so that's something to watch for IU. And then the other big game of Saturday also includes an Indiana team. Notre Dame plays Army. Notre Dame's in a similar spot. They can't lose this game. They lose this game, they're probably not getting in. And Army is undefeated. So Army's a top 25 team this year. And then you get like I'm rooting for Army. Notre Dame fans aren't going to like me for that. I support the troops, sorry, but Army's the underdog here. Notre Dame fans aren't my favorite people in the world. I'm rooting for Army. But what do you think of these two games? Obviously, being a Boilermaker, I'm assuming you want both them to lose.
I don't really care.
Would it make you mad if IU wins a national championship? Do you have any kind of
Yeah, I don't
feelings
want them to
towards
win
that?
the whole thing.
What if they do? That bother you?
It would only bother me because IU fans are so annoying.
Yeah, they're kind of the
They're
worst.
so annoying.
Mhm.
That's what
Especially
makes
now
me
that they're good
bother.
at football
Yeah,
because they've
it's
never
like
cared
they
about
have
football.
something.
Yeah.
It's a little bit
So
annoying,
it
but
probably hurts more because Purdue might be the worst team in Division One.
yeah,
They're so bad.
they've never been great at football.
Yeah, but
It's been
it's
very long time.
bad.
They've always been more of a basketball school anyway, but yeah,
Yeah.
I know it's bad. That
All
I
right.
don't really care.
But that's your college football update. That's really what's going on this Saturday. That's what you should keep an eye on. NFL. Before we get into this week, there's not too much to recap there. I want to kind of revisit our predictions from the beginning of the season. We're past the halfway point. We are looking ahead towards playoffs. And I want to kind of run through some awards that we can potentially give out. So, first of all, let's revisit our Super Bowl predictions. You predicted Chiefs and Eagles.
Mhm.
Not looking bad at all, honestly.
Really? I didn't think
The,
the Eagles were playing that well.
the Eagles are 8-2, and they're the 2 seed in the NFC.
Okay.
But they're also a little dysfunctional. It's hard to trust them, but they're 8-2. They're at the top. They're still in contention for the number 1 overall seed. So that's looking pretty good. I had Chiefs Rams not looking as good. Rams are 5-5. They are
Nice.
a game out of the playoffs right now. I still believe in them. I'm holding a Rams future. So I put
We're
10
only a
bucks.
game out from the playoffs?
The Rams are.
Do they not play this week?
The Rams did not play. No, they played this week. They beat the Patriots.
Wait, so how is it already the playoffs?
No, they are 1 game back from the playoffs. So like in the playoff standing. If the
Oh,
season ended
you
today,
need to
they'd be 1
word
game.
that better for a woman who doesn't know ew, woman, I didn't like that.
They're a woman.
For somebody who doesn't watch that much football.
Okay, sorry. They are
They're
if
a
the
game
season
away from making the playoffs.
yes,
Okay,
they're a game out.
okay.
That's a common phrase. They're a game out.
Maybe for people who, like, listen to football.
Okay. Sorry. Anyways, yeah, so your prediction's looking a lot better than mine. The Chiefs did get their first loss of the
Saw that.
season. It's
To the
terrible
Bills.
for to the Bills, which those two they play each other all the time. The Bills seem to win in the regular season. They always lose in the playoffs. They're gonna play each other in an important game in January. It
Is
happens
that
every
the
year.
only time don't they all play each other twice?
No. You only play your division or your division twice.
Okay, and they're not in the same
They're
division?
not in the same division. So, do you think Haley Steinfeld and Taylor Swift are friends?
I fear Haley is it Seinfeld or Seinfeld?
Steinfeld.
Steinfeld?
Yeah.
She's not like I wouldn't consider like an A-list celebrity.
Yeah, but they're both dating
I'd
two of the
put her
best
at like
quarterbacks in the league.
B plus. Yeah, but I don't know that they're even on the same wavelength there. I'm sure they know of each other. I'm sure Taylor knows of
Yeah,
her.
they know of each
I
other.
doubt they're like friends.
I just wonder if they have like I wonder if they chat about
I doubt it.
I guess I mean, sorry, Taylor's not obviously dating the quarterback. I misspoke there. They're dating two of the bigger stars in football,
I
and they
doubt
usually play against each other. So, okay, that'd be interesting to see, especially if we get a playoff game. Haley does a great job of avoiding
they're
the
very
limelight,
private.
very private, which
Yeah.
I give him credit for. So, all right, let's let's rattle off some predictions here for some awards. Now, Jenna, you can throw out whatever comes to mind here. I'm not expecting you to be accurate here, but
That's just
let's
am I gonna have to come up with player names because I don't know that
yeah,
I'll even be
yeah.
able to
I
do
want to
that.
see what you come up with here. Okay. So,
Okay.
who is your MVP right now through 11 weeks? Who's the best player you've seen play?
Um
It could be anybody. Who would you give your MVP award to? There's no wrong answers here.
Josh Downs.
Josh Downs MVP. All right.
That was
I'm gonna
literally all that I could come up with.
that's fair. Josh Downs MVP. He'd be the first receiver to win it since maybe ever. NFL history, Josh Downs. Congratulations. I'm gonna give my MVP right now to, like we said, Josh Allen. So maybe either of the Joshes.
Okay.
A Josh is probably gonna win MVP
I
according to
feel
this
like
show.
other people I feel like you're playing this down that my answers aren't gonna be funny, but then you're gonna put it on the internet and everyone's gonna be like, "This girl's so stupid."
I mean, if you want me to tell you Josh Downs is a stupid pick, I can
I
tell you right now
know.
it's a stupid pick.
I
I think
already
you knew
know
that.
it is, but,
Yeah,
like,
so I don't need to rub it
when you
in.
clip it, nobody's gonna see that I'm fully aware, and I'm just scrounging up names that I know.
I'm going to I won't I
Okay.
don't try to make you look I'm getting
I
heat on the
know, I
internet
do it
this
on my
past week.
own. I
I'm
do
getting a ton of heat because BJ fucking Raji and everyone's like, "Oh, this dude doesn't know ball." And they're
You left out
claiming
the
they
Randall
know.
Cobb and Simone Biles too.
Yeah, I mean, I did myself dirty with the way I edited the clip too. So, anyways, um uh my MVP I'm giving to Josh Allen. Coach of the year. Jenna,
Dude, dude.
who's your coach of the year? Who you got?
That's just literally unfair. Let me go back to my hottest NFL coaches list.
I can tell you who was on your list. You had Kevin O'Connell, D'Amico Ryans,
Yeah, but you need to tell me what teams they coach.
D'Amico Ryans for the Texans, Kevin O'Connell for the Vikings, Matt LaFleur for the Packers. You forgot Dave Canales for the Panthers. He should have
I'm
been
gonna
on your
go
list.
Kevin McConnell, Vikings.
Kevin O'Connell. I'll take that. He's also my pick. So I have him. I think he's like third best odds right now. People aren't giving him enough credit for what he's doing. People saying Sam Darnold's having this resurgence. Why do you think he's having this resurgence? He's got one of the best offensive minds in the league in his ear all the time, giving him the confidence to do
Quit
this.
yelling.
I'm just making my point. Sorry. Kevin O'Connell should be coach of the year. I fully believe that. This one may be tough for you.
As if
Ro-
the other 2 weren't.
yeah, rookie of the year. Can you
Not
name a
Deshaun
rookie?
Watson.
Not Deshaun Watson. Okay. Good start.
No.
Okay. All right, we can move on.
No.
Uh
No, because we've talked about a few.
yeah, do you remember the Commanders quarterback?
No.
I said remember this name?
No.
Okay, he's who I'm going to give it to right now, but it's close.
Okay, who is it?
Jaden Daniels.
I never would have come up with that.
Okay. I only told you about him every week for the last 4 weeks. Glad something's sticking. I would say Bo Nix is on his heels, though. Bo Nix, the quarterback for the Broncos. He had a great Sunday. He's playing
Are they
good
always
ball
a quarterback?
for the most part. They always
That's
favor
unfair.
quarterback.
That seems
Justin Jefferson.
unfair.
I'll say this: Justin Jefferson got snubbed from Rookie of the Year because Justin Herbert got it. Justin Jefferson's best receiver in football. Should have won that award. Offensive Player of the Year. This is different than MVP. This is usually where they give it to the skill players like the receivers, the running backs, because MVP has been a quarterback-dominated award. You can double down and give Josh Downs this one as well.
No, I wanna come up with something better. I could be so far off.
Okay,
Christian
it's fine.
McCaffrey?
It's a good pick. He's played one game this year.
I Is he a running back?
Yeah, he's been hurt all year. He finally just came back.
Well,
Good pick.
maybe
He's gonna have a hell.
he's gonna be really good.
He's gonna be unreal. Everyone bet the over. Christian McCaffrey's gonna have an incredible back half of the season. I'm gonna give mine to a coin flip between Derrick Henry and Saquon. I think Saquon's gonna just keep dominating. I love what Saquon's doing. I'm gonna give it to Saquon Barkley, even though Derrick Henry gets a bunch of touchdowns in that offense. Saquon's too important. And this one's gonna be almost impossible for you.
Defense.
Defensive Player of the Year.
Can put that little cricket sound here. I literally do not know.
Can you name a defensive player in the NFL?
I don't think so. We never talk
Nothing.
about them either, so I don't
Maybe I need this. This is good. This is where I'm realizing my
like
deficiencies as a teacher.
a safety or something.
Yeah.
Um,
Can you name a safety or
no,
cornerback?
I can name the position.
Okay, so maybe I'll put a safety in quotes as your pick for defensive player of the year.
You could have let me prep a little bit.
It's more fun if you don't. I think it's testing your knowledge. What can you come up with?
And do you know what we're realizing?
We have a lot of work to do.
How little knowledge I have.
Work it with baby steps. All right.
Hey.
If Josh Downs wins MVP, though, you're gonna look like a hero. I'll say that. I'll give TJ Watt my defensive player of the year. So we'll put that graphic out. We'll come back to that in a
You
couple
don't need to
weeks.
put that graphic anywhere.
We have to.
I'm gonna have to delete my Instagram app for a while.
It'll be fun. It'll be good. All right, and then yeah, really not too much to talk about from this week. I was at the Vikings Titans game, which super fun. Love beating on a bad football team that the Titans are. Sam Darnold bounce back game, looked solid. It was basically a home game for the Vikings. The amount of skull chants I was starting over there, it was awesome. It was like 50% purple. So love to see that Vikings fan
I
travel
have
well.
some things I'd like to talk about.
Let's go. What do you got?
Anthony Richardson had a great game.
AR is back. This is his third rookie
People are
season.
people are pleased.
People excited. There's
Yep.
rumors that he was benched or suspended internally because of off the field issues, like showing up late or missing workouts, stuff like that. How do you feel about that?
About that happening to him?
Yeah, I mean,
Well
I
deserved.
wouldn't want my quarterback to have those issues. That
Yeah,
would be long term red flags.
yeah. No, I think he deserved it if that's the case. Once again, he's being paid millions and millions of dollars a year. He can make it to his morning workout that his driver drives him to.
Yep. There you
Yep.
go. Anything else?
Oh,
What
the
else?
other thing. Yeah, Packers beat the Bears by 1 point, a blocked field goal.
I was very upset with that. I needed
The
the
Bears.
Packers to lose. Vikings play the Bears this week. Any notes? What should we do? Block field goals?
Yeah, I don't know.
All right.
Play well.
All right. We'll do. Thanks, coach.
Yep.
All right. You want to get into Shoe Dog real quick?
Sure.
All right. So we are now at about the halfway point. So we
Yeah.
can kind of do some projections or just kind of overall thoughts on where this thing's going. We are so to catch people up. We're at the point now. Phil Knight is this company's growing. It's not Nike yet. It's still Blue Ribbon. He's starting to bring on this cast of characters that are
He's got
the
about
found.
50 employees
Yeah, you got this ragtag group of guys to like the main core
and
members
women.
and women,
Mhm.
the main core members of Blue Ribbon that are growing this thing, which is it's fun to see the different personalities because there's quite a few. There you have the one I'm not good with names, but you have his coach Bowerman, who's
Powerman.
just this old, tough, hard nosed coach, which everyone has met a guy like him. Obviously, very established coach, Oregon track and field coach. You have the
Takes
guy
to the
who's
Olympics.
Yes, you had the one guy who was a former athlete, former track star for him, who's in a wheelchair now,
Woodle.
helping him out. What was his name?
Woodle.
Yes,
That's how
that's
I've
the
been
one.
saying it at least. Woodell.
Um,
I don't know.
and then who's the guy who
Johnson.
writes? Yeah, so Johnson keeps getting the short end of the stick here.
He
This guy,
admitted
he writes a million letters to Phil Knight over and over again. I start to feel bad for the guy because
mhm.
he's looking for a friend at this
Give him
point.
something.
He's writing letters like, "Hey,
He just needs some words of affirmation. That's
yeah,
all.
it's all he's looking for."
It's his love
And
language.
Phil Knight refuses to give him anything, and
Mhm.
we can talk a little bit about just like his leadership style. But yeah, poor Johnson. He keeps writing. He does a good job in LA, starting
Mhm.
to sell these shoes, and then all of a sudden, Phil Knight goes to Japan, and they have this meeting. They say, "I want you to sell on the East Coast."
Mhm.
Take over all the US. He said, "All right, cool. My East Coast office that we don't have." So
Mhm.
on your flight, he's got to figure out how to get a East Coast office by the time those shoes get there. He tells Johnson, basically, figure it out. Pick an East Coast city with a port and move your life there. Insane. Insane
Mhm.
for a guy to just like trust this company so much that, hey, I'm going to upend my entire life. I like Los Angeles. He's like, I like running every day, but I'm going to go to Boston. And he was moving, I think, around November. So it's just going to get cold for 4 months. That had to be a brutal 4 months for him.
Mhm.
So we start to get this cast of characters. And then he does in this part meet his wife, who's a student of his, or
Mhm.
else he's a professor or teaching at Portland State, which we can get into that little weird thing that happened. But then he
I
has a kid
don't
as
think
well.
I don't think it's so weird. He was relatively young as a professor. Professors, like, then probably weren't what they are now,
What do you mean?
and, like, he didn't even have a teaching degree.
Good point. Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I don't think it was necessarily as serious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What I do want to talk about that a little bit and combine it with a few other things that he did. Uh, because I'm starting to debate whether Phil Knight's a good guy. He operates in a lot of gray area. So, and
Mhm,
he's pretty upfront about it, which I give him credit for. But yeah, he marries his student. He lies to these Japanese companies about having a office on the East Coast. He
mhm.
forces this Johnson guy to move across the country. He has a spy on the inside for this Japanese company because he's terrified that they're gonna like cut him out. They're starting to stack up, and I get like, is this a proper means to an end here, or is he just kind of a sleazy guy?
I don't think he's a sleazy guy.
Where does it end
I
though?
don't think any of it is done with, like, ill intentions.
Yeah, but it's just selling shoes. It's not like he's
Yeah, but this is, like, his life's work, like, this is his passion, this is he's trying to make it. I mean, I think you'd be shocked by how actually shady businessmen are.
well, yeah, but that doesn't make it ethically right
I
just
don't
because
disagree with
other
that.
people do it.
I don't disagree with that.
Like I just
It might not
wonder,
be ethically correct, but
and I just yeah, I just
not
think it's
illegal.
interesting. Not illegal at all. I'm just saying it puts him in a different light if you start to add up all these things because as you're reading, you're obviously rooting for the guy, and you know how this ends up. You know that Nike becomes this powerhouse, and then
Yeah,
you're starting to see. Well, it is cool to see Nike as it puts a face to Nike where going in, you just know Nike as this big, powerful brand. You kind of are turned off by that, by this
yeah,
giant corporation. And then you just see this guy just grinding for years. So you do have to maybe take those steps. And I don't know. I just think there's a fine line between, all right, he's betting on himself and just kind of hustling his way to the top, or then also he's just kind of being a little shady.
yeah, I agree, and there's definitely some shadiness to it.
Yeah. What do you think of we talked about a little bit him just kind of his leadership within Blue Ribbon because he's not the
I would
most
never be able to work for him.
really.
Never.
I can't
He's just the kind of guy that just kind of wants to sit back and, like, watch everything happen, and he just trusts these people to do the things they're supposed to do.
mhm.
Like, with Johnson, like, him not encouraging him, I'm like, "That's what a leader does, though."
Yeah.
Like, a leader gives their workers what they need to do the best job they can for him, and I don't feel like he's doing that.
Yeah, I wrote down the quote, they've mentioned it quite a few times, which I really like, and I think it's a Bowerman thing where he says, "Don't tell people how to do something, tell them what to do and let them surprise you."
Mhm.
I think that's exactly what Phil Knight just adopted, whether he knows it or not. He's just
Yeah.
saying, "I need this done, just go do it," and he's so hands off. He doesn't want to appeal to like with Johnson, he's like, this is wasting time, me like building a relationship with you almost like corresponding back and forth, like just do the work,
Yeah.
which that's just not me. That's not how I would operate in that
Yeah.
environment, but it's hard to criticize too much because it worked.
Yeah, I
But if it
think
doesn't
he
work, then like if Johnson leaves and quits after a
Mhm.
month, because he's
Which
like,
he
dude,
threatened
which
already.
yeah, I wouldn't blame him if he did.
Yeah.
So this could easily backfire. So
I think he's lucky to have the people working for him that he does because he could be losing a lot of business due to his lack of involvement.
yeah, and it just goes to show, which it's pretty impressive because as he goes through the numbers of it all right now, it's all right. This is
Mhm.
a pretty big company already before it's even Nike, and he doesn't have a lot of
It's
profit.
starting to be Nike, though.
Yeah, and I think you're a little bit ahead of me where like they're
Just a
close.
chapter.
Yeah. Um,
But yeah,
I
like,
just
he's decided the name of the company is going to be Nike.
has he at that point?
You've read that.
I've not read that yet.
Seriously?
Yeah,
So he's now all of the Japanese stuff is going to crap
yeah.
with that company they were working with and getting their shoes from. The spy told them that.
Mm-hmm.
And so now he's looking to outsource shoes from another Japanese company, and there has to be a name for it, I guess, or
Yeah.
something. I don't remember exactly. So he was throwing out, like, people on the team were throwing out different names, and he was throwing out literally the worst name I've ever heard. I can't think of it off the top of my head. Oh. He wanted to call the company Dimension 6.
See, like we it sounds obviously very stupid now, but if that ended up becoming what Nike is now, that would just be part of our vernacular.
I don't know though, because I feel like a name has a lot to do with, like, the advertising of the company and everything, the marketing.
Yeah, how important do
Dimension
you
6?
you think if they called it Dimension 6, Nike wouldn't be what Nike is?
I'm not claiming that, I'm just saying I don't know if it would be. I don't feel like we can straight up say that it would be.
Yeah. Yeah, it just depends on how much like, how important do you really think the name of a
Very,
company is? So, if
very.
you mess up the name of Nike and they call it something stupid, they keep everything else the same, the way they go about their business, you think they're not at that level, which I don't think I disagree
I
with you.
think potentially.
Yeah, it's just so hard to say because
It's like they were talking about how there are certain things people look for in names of companies, and there are
Mhm,
certain trends that you see of these companies that are really popular, like one word brand
yeah.
names, and they usually have a K or an X in them.
Oh, interesting.
Is what they this is obviously like,
Yeah, 40
long
years
time
ago, whatever.
ago, but I thought that was interesting because I started thinking of a few, and it does make
Yeah.
sense. And the
Yeah,
whole one word thing really makes sense.
yeah, it's hard to judge because it's like, what are they successful because they have this name, or do we know them because they're successful, so we know their name, so we think it's a good name? If
Well,
that
I'm
made
not
like,
saying
you know
it's
what
a
I
good
mean?
name, I'm just thinking of companies that are successful.
Yeah. So it's
Like, I'm
like,
just thinking
oh,
of, like, big companies, Apple,
yeah.
like, I don't know.
It's how much it's impossible to measure, I think, whether
Yeah,
it's the name value
I
because
don't disagree.
they're already popular, so we know the name, and
Yeah.
then I don't know.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right. So at the halfway point through this
Okay, wait,
book,
I have oh, okay, go ahead.
no, you can go ahead. This is kind of a wrap up question. So,
Well, I feel like mine kind of is too. Sorry, my leg's falling asleep.
okay,
Um,
you go. You go.
I think it's really interesting and a little bit boring. I do feel like, holy crap, we're halfway through this book,
Hmm.
and I feel like we haven't made much progress. And not like
So,
I know that they're making all this money. I know these things. I know the name Nike was finally introduced. They're starting to make these new shoes. So it seems like Nike is starting to actually become Nike, but I thought there would be like a turning point there. And I'm realizing I don't think there's going to be.
I,
Like,
d-
we're
I,
gonna watch this go from ground zero slowly up to
yeah,
what it
and from what I've seen, I don't think I think you're gonna be underwhelmed with where we end up.
You're
So
kidding.
I think we only get through like 1986, and then there's like one chapter that goes through. So the way the book's set up, it's year by year, right? We're at 1971, 72-ish right
Yeah.
now. Um, I think it ends around the mid 80s, and then there's one chapter that basically sums up the last 25 years of Nike.
Oh, I don't know if I'm gonna like that.
I don't think you're gonna like it. And so, but my question was halfway through, obviously this is a book that is praised by a lot of people, and it's used to say, hey, this is like a great memoir for entrepreneurs. Anybody should, hey, read this book. Do you think it's worth the praise at this point, halfway through? Obviously we could change our mind.
I think it's worth the praise for being a memoir. I don't think it's
Okay.
worth the praise of, like, "You wanna start a company and be an entrepreneur? Here, read this." I don't think that's the value of the book. I think it's more the storytelling from Phil Knight.
Interesting. I think the opposite. I think this is a book I'm going
Really?
to like right now reading it as I would say I'm not like all in invested in this story, but I keep getting nuggets of, "Oh,
Wait,
I like
that's
that."
so interesting.
I keep getting
So we're
moments where
basically reading this completely differently.
yeah, I
Completely
think
different.
yeah, you're in it for like this storyline of Phil Knight
Yeah.
creating Nike. I'm viewing it way differently where I'm not like enthralled by the story.
Mm.
I mean, because I know where it ends up. I know when Nike becomes Nike, but
Yeah.
just the process of him building Nike, there's little moments that I I'll feel like I'll come back to throughout even after I'm done with this book. I feel like I'm gonna come back to certain things that stood out to me just from
Wow.
the process of him building. That's very interesting that we're seeing this book very differently.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time understanding how there are things you're gonna go back to, but hey.
Like there's certain quotes like that. Like the one I even talked about was where it's like, "Don't tell people how to do something, tell them what to do,
Yeah, but it
let them
doesn't mean that
surprise
that
you."
was the right way to do it. Just because
Agreed,
your
but
company ends
yeah,
up
but it makes you
successful.
let me see what else
It's
I
not like a guide, like entrepreneurship for dummies.
agreed, but I think it's not a I feel like you could have a lot of these type of books where it's this is the right way to do things, this is how you do it. He's very open on like mistakes he made. And I
Mhm.
think we're going to get even more into that soon. Um yeah, and I just think there's little moments where I feel like I'm going to highlight and come back to and just think about a little bit more
Hmm.
as it goes on, but interesting. Seeing it very differently.
When
So
do the Jordan shoes happen? Are we gonna get to that at all?
so Jordan was drafted in 84, I
So
believe.
probably not, maybe
So
just
no,
a
I
little?
think that's towards the end. I think Jordan's gonna be the
Okay.
climax-ish. Um, let me double check that.
'Cause I do
Yeah,
think
so
that's really what made them, like,
yes,
huge.
100%, 100%. Yeah, Jordan was 84, and then I'll just check what year we end on here.
Well, I
We
guess look
end
at the book. Is
that's
that
what
what
I'm
you're doing?
looking at.
Oh.
Oh, we only go to 1980. You're not gonna like this.
Well, I'm sorry, but is the rest of it gonna be this boring?
We'll find out.
I
We'll
It
find
really
out.
kinda feels like, my teeth are being pulled.
This is the section I got more into it. I'm starting to feel
And
invested
I
in
wish
it.
these chapters weren't so fricking long.
Yeah, pretty long, but all right.
Okay,
Well,
we're
we'll read
reading a
more for next
girly
week.
book after this.
That's fine. We'll switch it up. I think we need to challenge ourselves to be done with this in 2 weeks.
That's fine.
Okay, so read another section and then we'll finish it in 2 weeks.
'Kay.
All right, sweet. That's it from us. Everyone, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next week.